So I'll share something. So the people have asked me to share something about leadership, but sorry, Rick.
Don't have to be sorry. I've done it many times.
It's hard to be the first company and leading it. Well, I'll share with you something that I never shared with anyone else before, why I joined Intel. So when I graduated, it was in 2008, and sorry, it will calm down. It was very hard because that's when the economy crashed. And I saw my friends going to interviews, and some of them went to 10 interviews. And they got a lot offered, but then because the economy crashed, a lot of those offers at the last minute was taken away from them. Well, at that time, the reason why I bring it up is because I already interviewed with Intel before that. But when the economy crashed, we had a hiring freeze. So unlike most other companies would just say, I'm sorry, we cannot offer you anymore. My hiring manager at that time, Scott, he wrote me a very, very long email, probably 2 pages long, to explain what is going on in the economy, what is the implication to Intel, and why they make such a decision, and that asked me to wait until the hiring freeze was lifted. Because of that single email, when I came back, I decided to join Intel despite other companies' offers. So the reason why I'm sharing that is, when you think of the word leader, you think of president or the company CEO, but the fact is every single one of us is a leader. I don't know why I still want to cry. It's so hard. This is so not professional. So what is leader, and why Intel is an amazing place to build our leadership? And I told this to so many interns and RCG that come into Intel in my first one-on-one with them. I don't know if they listen to me or believe what I say, but I study organizational behavior. So about the culture of a company, what makes a company great and whatnot. So when I joined Intel, I was very surprised and happily surprised of how perfect this company is in terms of organizational behavior and business culture. Everything that the book in school teach you that the company should do and should not do, all the should do part, Intel has it. And maybe later on when you leave this company, because a lot of us here this is our first job, when you leave it, you realize how true it is. And we had an intern who was here for a summer, and when she went back to the States and studying about the company and how it should be and how a leader should be, she wrote a status on Facebook saying that Intel complies with everything that say a company should be. So it's true that where we are working is an amazing place. Personally, I think in terms of developing leadership skill, I think first of all it's a teamwork. This place, you cannot do anything by yourself. You always have ops partner, you always need to buy off a lot of people in order to have a decision implemented. There's always good and bad sides to it. But in terms of leadership skill development, I think it's great because someone said leadership is the definition of leadership is the capacity of a human community to shape its future. The capacity of a human community to shape its future. So there's 2 parts to it. It's a community. You cannot be a leader and leading yourself. It's a community, and at Intel we practice it. But the fact that we buy off and talk to someone offline before you go into a meeting, you're already practicing it, and you're trying to influencing them what you think is the best for the future of the project that you're doing with, the outcome that you hope to achieve. So please try to remember that the whole is always greater than the sums of the parts. So the whole is much better than the sums of every individual. The second part that Intel that I've learned is humility. You see in movies, they always say that even if you are the best, there's always someone better than you. And especially at Toastmaster. So even though we did well, we got the championship, we know that outside there are other people who are much better than you. Here is an example that I really admire. When he first joined Intel, and first joined Toastmaster, his second language was French. It was not English. I remember the first speech he was up here, he was very nervous, and he used a lot of French words in his speech. But you saw what happened today, less than a year later. So looking at him inspired me, and I'm really humble to have a chance to work with you. So people, when they say a ladder of success, people always think of something that looks like this. You see that a lot? So you climb up the ladder to be the top of the company. But what I've learned recently, that there's a picture of someone drawing like this. I'm a very bad artist. But basically it's a wheel that made of the ladder. So that is a true ladder to success. Because in your career, in your life, there's always up and down. You're never going to go all the way up all the time. There's always up and down. Economy has an up and down. Why do you think your career and personal life always going to go up? So be humble. Being in Intel means that you're already the cream of your crop. You're already much better than a lot of your peers in school because of the grade. And when you go outside Intel, people admire you because you work for Intel. But don't let that fool you, because there are a lot of people who are much, much better than you. And you never know if one day you're going to need their help. One day you're going to be working for someone who is right now your co-worker. So before you decide to dismiss or look down on someone, be very careful. Remember, there's a sentence saying that all of us are only one accident or one tragedy away from being in a tight spot. We're always going to be in a difficult situation one day. You're going to need people's help. We don't live by ourselves. We are all interdependent. So we have different personality at work and outside, but be respectful and be humble. So I think that's one of the other lessons I learned here. The third one, and I think it's very applicable for Toastmaster, is tangible versus intangible. So we have a deep desire in us to quantify everything we do. We are a data-driven company, and I'm not talking about Intel, but in person. We want to be able to quantify it so we can understand it and we can control it. But we have to think that maybe something that we cannot quantify might be the most important thing. I read in a book recently called The Outlier. It's a very good book. So it explained what happened to Korean Airlines in 1990s. Other airlines company have one accident out of millions. But Korean Airlines had more than 4 times higher than that. They crash all the time. So when an airplane crashed, you analyze the black box to know what happened before it crashed. And what happened is, other airlines, you always see a lot of talking between the pilot and the co-pilot and all the assistants. But the Korean Air, it was very quiet. Like he said, I see something, and then the co-pilot would be saying, oh, don't you think it was, and then they're very quiet, and that's not chaotic. So they're trying to analyze, maybe the plane was bad, maybe the English skill was not good, maybe the pilots and co-pilots were not good or qualified. But all of that failed because all of them qualified. Then later on they find out it was because of the culture. Korean culture, the language, have 7 layers of formality. When you talk to someone higher than you, you have to use different level. You don't challenge the authority. So even though the co-pilot knows that something's wrong, he did not want to raise that question to the pilot because of respect. Because of that, they crashed. Just because of that. So culture is not something that you can quantify. It's not something you can measure if you're good at English or not good at pilot test. But that's the most important. They fixed it. They made all of them speak in English. They never can use Korean in the planes. And because of that, now it is just as good as any other airline in the world. Just because of that. So apply to Toastmasters. It's a long journey. Improving your English skill, public speaking skill, and leadership skill is not something that you can measure. And we try to make an indicator, but we cannot show you how far you're away from being a great leader. It's something we cannot quantify. But it's something that you have to realize, and maybe it might help you a lot. I didn't write a note, but so I think the vision of Huy when he set up Toastmaster is to help us to be better communicator, like you said. But I think we here should make the vision is making all of us great leaders. You can be here, you can lead Intel Vietnam, you can go off somewhere, maybe become a Vietnamese politician. You're going to be a leader one day. They were just like us when they're 20-something. So I think that should be our vision, becoming a great leaders, not just English speaking, not just public speaking, but great leaders. Good luck.